Ever find yourself wishing you could like perfectly recreate that one t-shirt
Yeah.
that fits just right? The one that's like soft and comfy and always makes you feel good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That holy grail of t-shirts. Well, guess what?
Hmm.
You actually can. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the art of t-shirt cloning.
That's right. We're going behind the scenes with pattern maker Ellie.
Sure.
She's got this fantastic YouTube video on her channel, Wurde Designer, that breaks down the whole process.
Ooh.
Plus, we've got some extra articles that add even more insights into this whole world of DIY fashion.
It's not just about sewing, though, is it? We'll also be exploring the importance of precision,
Yeah.
fit, and understanding why some DIY projects just seem to turn out better than others.
Exactly. And Ellie's approach is a perfect example of that.
Okay.
What's fascinating is that she doesn't just tell you to trace your shirt.
Oh.
Instead, she really emphasizes the importance of precision, starting with a fundamental element, the right angle.
I noticed that, too. She keeps coming back to that right angle.
Yeah.
Why is that so crucial?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
A right angle acts as your anchor, ensuring that all your measurements and lines are accurate and consistent.
Oh.
It's all about establishing a solid foundation for your pattern.
Okay.
In fact, it directly relates to the way fabric drapes and hangs.
Oh, I see. So if you're off by even a little bit at the beginning,
Yeah.
it could throw off the entire garment.
Precisely. And this is where those imprecise copy your clothes tutorials can lead you astray. They often skip over the critical step of establishing that initial right angle.
Right.
Ellie, on the other hand, uses it as a guide to measure and mark everything.
Okay.
The width, the length, the seam allowances, before transferring those measurements onto paper to create her pattern.
It's almost like building a house.
Yeah.
If your foundation isn't level, the whole structure is going to be wonky.
That's a great analogy. And just like a good builder,
Yeah.
Ellie is meticulous about every detail. She even stresses the importance of having your measurements to ensure symmetry.
Right. So you're essentially creating half of the pattern
Exactly.
and then mirroring it to get the full shape. Makes sense. But I admit, I
Ah.
never really thought about it that way before. It seems so obvious now.
That's the beauty of Ellie's method.
Yeah.
She breaks down these seemingly complex concepts into simple, understandable steps.
Speaking of steps,
Okay.
one thing that caught my eye was how she handled the shoulder seams. She mentioned that the placement is different for the front and back of the shirt.
Yes. And this is a detail that often gets overlooked in those quick and dirty copy your clothes tutorials.
Right.
The back shoulder seam is typically slightly longer.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
The back piece needs a bit more length and a gentler slope to comfortably accommodate your shoulder blades and allow for a full range of motion.
Right.
If those seams were identical, the shirt would feel tight and restrictive across your back.
Wow. That makes so much sense. It's those little nuances that really make a difference in the final fit.
Absolutely. And Ellie even points out that her t-shirt's back shoulder seam is verleg ins Rickentile, which means moved into the back piece by about 1.5 centimeters.
Okay.
It's amazing how such a small adjustment can have a big impact on how the garment hangs.
She also made some interesting adjustments to the neckline and sleeve lengths, didn't she?
She did.
It's like she's saying, hey, you can customize this to fit your style.
Exactly.
So it's about understanding the basic structure,
Right.
but also having the freedom to tweak it to make it your own.
Exactly. It's like having a blueprint that you can then adapt to your individual needs.
Now, one of our articles described the kind of t-shirt Ellie's replicating using a phrase that totally threw me for a loop. En anliegendes tailliertes.
It does sound a bit intimidating, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it simply means closely fitting and tailored.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But why is that distinction important?
Well, it highlights the fact that a fitted garment, like the one Ellie is cloning, requires a much higher level of precision than a looser fitting one.
Oh,
Think about it.
okay.
A flowy, oversized t-shirt has more room for error.
Right.
But if you want a shirt that hugs your curves in all the right places, you need that meticulous approach that Ellie demonstrates.
So it's not just about copying a t-shirt. It's about understanding the nuances of fit
Exactly.
and how to achieve that through precise pattern making.
You got it. And this ties back to what we were talking about earlier about understanding the why behind each step.
So for a beginner, sticking to Ellie's methodical approach is probably the best way to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you're aiming for that perfect fit.
Okay.
It's like she's giving you a roadmap to success, taking the guesswork out of it.
And maybe once you've mastered those fundamentals, you can start experimenting with those more intuitive adjustments.
Exactly.
It's like learning the rules before you break them.
Exactly. And speaking of breaking rules, there's something else that really struck me about Ellie's video. It's entirely in German.
I was just thinking about that. It's amazing that her tutorial has reached such a global audience.
I know, right?
Despite the language barrier.
It really highlights the universal language of sewing, doesn't it? Even if you don't understand the spoken words, you can follow along with the visuals and those step-by-step instructions.
Plus, it's such a visual craft anyway.
Right.
Seeing how she holds the fabric, how she makes those precise marks.
Yeah.
It's like having a front row seat to a masterclass.
I totally agree. It's so much more impactful than just reading instructions in a book. You get to see those instructions come to life. And, you know, it goes beyond just the technical aspects of sewing.
Okay.
Ellie's video speaks to a larger trend. The desire to create unique, well-fitting garments in a world dominated by fast fashion.
It's like a pushback against disposable clothing.
Yeah.
And a return to a more mindful approach to fashion.
Exactly. I think that's one of the most powerful takeaways from this whole T-shirt cloning adventure.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we have the power to create things that are both beautiful and meaningful.
It really makes you appreciate the skill and artistry that goes into creating those well-made garments.
It does.
You see in boutiques or even vintage shops, it's not just about throwing something together. Right. There's a real thoughtfulness and intention behind it.
It's about understanding the why behind each step, just like Ellie does with her T-shirt cloning.
Or even something like problem solving at work.
Yeah.
If you approach a complex issue with that same methodical, step-by-step approach, breaking it down into smaller parts, it can feel much less overwhelming. And who knows? Maybe that journey will lead us to create something truly remarkable, or at the very least, a really well-fitting T-shirt. So the next time you find yourself admiring a beautifully tailored garment, take a moment to think about the skill and precision that went into it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to try your hand at creating something amazing yourself.
It could be a T-shirt, a dress, a piece of furniture, or even a solution to a challenging problem. The possibilities are endless.
Right. It's really about looking at things with a new perspective.
Absolutely.
And realizing that anything is possible when we approach it with that same level of care and attention to detail.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But we hope this has inspired you to think differently about the clothes you wear and the things you create. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.